Okay, welcome to this community meeting of Kubewarden. Um, so for the ones that are watching that, this is a monthly meeting. Feel free to, join us in live fashion if you want to. The meeting is open to everybody. If you want to discuss topics, we have an agenda. You can find, you can enter items in the agenda and you can find all the links to the agenda to the community meeting inside of a Slack channel or on our website. So, well, it's time to get started. So, as usual, I would start by looking into the release. So we published Kubewarden 124 some weeks ago. So this is a release that came with some interesting changes. So the first one is about our policies. So as you know, we add a lot of policies that are ready to be used by our users. All these policies are published on Artifact Hub, and they are the source code is inside of GitHub. They are built inside of GitHub, and so when working on these policies, we always started, with thinking about semantic versioning, and we were, a bit. I wouldn't say afraid, but we wanted to be, careful before tagging a policy like a V1, because being V1 means this policy is 100% stable, not just in terms of, it is working as planned, but also in terms of how a user is going to consume the policy. And to be more specific about how a user is going to, for example, configure a policy. And because of that, we were honestly a bit lazy. And even though our policy were all actually stable, we forgot to make that official. And some members of the community, raised this question, and that's why we decided to, go back and do this 1.0 tagging of all the policies that we consider, stable. So that triggered quite some changes inside of our policies. And before doing the tagging, we also took care of improving some automation around policies. So our policies, the Kubewarden policies, they are written using traditional programming languages like Rust or Go, for example, in addition to other ones like Rego. And when you think about traditional programming languages, these languages, they evolve over the time. Like a new version of the compiler are released, a new version of the libraries being used are released, sometimes improving performances, other times fixing bugs. And so we already had in place a lot of automation, like the usual one with Renovate bot or Dependent bot, to take care of all these dependencies, to bump the dependencies of each individual policy. What we were missing, however, was some automation in place to push out all these changes. So all our policies, whenever we merge something instead of our main branch, they are automatically built, and a new policy is pushed to a container registry. But this is done using the latest tag, which is not what someone running stable software wants to consume. And so what we did was to basically have an automation in place, and basically every month, if there is some change that happened inside of the main branch of a policy, we have some automation that will remind us, the Kubewarden maintainers, that there is a new version of a policy to be tagged. And we will review the PR. And if we are fine with it, we will merge it. And then there will be some other automation that will take care of tagging a new version of a policy. And from there on, we will publish the policy on Artifact Hub, on our container registry. So there is a lot of automation. And the main advantage is that, you will get fresh policies basically every month. We will use semantic versioning for that, which means that most of the time you will just see patch updates of the policies, because these are really safe updates that you can apply. So no breakage for you, just improvements in terms of stability. So I highly recommend you to take those patch updates. And talking about how to get those patch updates, something that we have also introduced is to basically add labels to the OCI artifacts that we are producing. We are adding labels, the ones recommended by the OCI spec. And these labels, they are then used by tools like RenovateBot, for example, to automatically detect updates of a policy. So if you have, for example, inside of a Git repository, you might have a YAML file that defines like a cluster admission policy of Kubewarden that is consuming, of course, a policy coming from a container registry. So if you have Dependabot enabled on that repository and properly configured, it will provide you a pull request to bump the image version of a policy that you're using, because to depend a bot that looks like like a deployment of Kubernetes with a container image being referenced. So I think this is really powerful for everybody, because automation is always good, and it's always great to keep up to date with our dependency, especially nowadays with all these supply chain attacks going on around us. So these are, a lot of changes that happened inside of our policies. Another honorable mention about a policy is the release of a cel-policy. This was a minor release because we are providing now some new functionality. Namely, we are now exposing the same cell functions that are used also inside of Kubernetes to do a base64 encoding and decoding. So everything is working as anybody using VAP would expect to. And this was a request that came from the community, and we were really happy to satisfy that request. Aside from that, there are some updates done to smaller changes, improvements done to the different components of the stack. So going quickly through them. So we, as always, each project has some technical debt, and we also have our own technical debt. The important thing is to go through the pile of technical debt and just get rid of it. So during this release, we basically replace the usage of zerolog inside of audit scanner to use slog. Slog is a structured logging library that is now part of a Go official standard library. So by moving to this library, we just got rid of one dependency, making our code more maintainable. So just a random question. Can you still hear and see me? Because I see Jose, but Jose right now is frozen, and I wonder if my computer is frozen.
No, I can hear and see you.
Good,
Yes.
good. Okay, thanks. It's the beauty of Linux sometimes. Bad things happen with audio and video stuff. Okay, so that was audit scanner. On policy server, so we did some internal refactoring. This might seem small, but is actually pretty exciting, I think, because this was an intermediate step. So as you know, some releases ago, we introduced the concept of policy groups, which allow us to take multiple Kubewarden policies and combine them together using Boolean logic. So that was pretty powerful, but that was something, this is actually something that is still available only inside of a policy server. So if you want to try out a policy group locally with kwctl run, you cannot do that because kwctl does not have any knowledge of policy groups yet. And so we want to fix that. And to fix that, basically, we have to move some business logic from policy server into a library, policy evaluator, that is shared between policy server and kwctl. So this is some work that will allow us to bring feature parity between kwctl and policy server. So pretty excited about that. The other thing is a contribution that came from a community. So as you might remember, the last release of Kubewarden introduced support for mutual TLS authentication between all the different components of our stack. So starting with 124, we have improved the logging of all the requests that are done against the policy server, meaning that whenever there is a client that tries to make a connection with a policy server, but the client cannot be authenticated by MTLS, then we will log this failed connection attempt inside of the logs of a policy server so that an administrator can keep track of that and act accordingly. Again, thanks for this community contribution. And then, a bunch of dependency bumps. There was like a CVE inside of one really popular Golang library. We addressed that. And so we also did a migration to a latest version of Golang CI linter, which did a major update from V1 to V2 that introduced quite some changes. So we want all our code base to be, nice and tidy, and we are using different tools for that. One of them is Golang CI linter. Also, we updated the policy reporter that is being deployed by our stack. We updated it to the latest version. And that's all about 2024. Given we are here, as you can see, is also on the agenda, all right? So Google Summer of Code. As you know, we are participating to Google Summer of Code. We proposed 2 projects to the organization. We are participating through CNCF to Google Summer of Code. In the next days, the selected candidates will be announced. The candidates will receive an email, and we will start to work with them. We're really eager to work with the selected candidates. For the ones who have not been chosen, don't be sad. There will be more chances, and we got quite some candidates this year, good candidates. So it was quite difficult to pick them. So don't let you down, in case you have not been chosen. All right, so I went around a bit in scattered order. So this point has been covered. The Google Summer of Code point has been covered. Now I will leave the stage to Jose, who's there, to talk about a new policy that has been created, that he wrote, and it's a priority class policy.
Yeah, so we recently released in Artifact Hub in our catalog a new policy, this priority class policy, which basically can be used to validate or actually avoid misuse of the priority classes from Kubernetes, which tells the control plane which workload should be prioritized and not be evicted in the cluster or the priority of that. So that way, this policy allow you to validate resources and set a allow list of which priority class can be used in your resources, which means pods, deployments, cron jobs, and basically everything that has a pod can be validated. So that's it. Basically, you can define a list which is the priority classes that you allow the user to use. Yeah, that one. There is links in the documentation, but it's important to say that the priority class should be created by the user or the cluster operator. And yeah, and I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Jose. Given you are here, you're also leading this work. So do you want to say what we are
Yeah.
doing, why we're doing that?
Yeah, and actually, it's not only myself, but me and Victor
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
probably working on the removal of some GitHub, not removal, but replacing some GitHub action for others ones or uh, other kind of other types of ways to doing stuff that some GitHub action does. The original reason for that is we would like to use only actions that are updated frequently, or at least have someone that's maintaining it in a regular basis. And because we spot some of them are like pretty old and out of date, so we decided to remove them, and also give preference to GitHub actions that maintained by organizations, not only individuals, just to avoid some security scenario where we need some fix and the guy is not there, or it's vacation, or whatever reason he or she does not want to do something that we need. So we decided to move away from GitHub actions that are maintained by individuals and prefer the ones under some organization like GitHub, or the usual ones that you know in the industry. But yeah, we are almost there. I would say most of them are already removed. At least the more the ones that has more reference has been removed, and we almost finishing that job. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I think this is painful. Maybe it doesn't sound super exciting to some
Yeah.
users, but we are a project operating in the security space, and GitHub Actions, they're really cool, but they can be an attack vector. In case you
Yeah.
missed, there was a somehow popular GitHub action that was compromised some months ago, I think the last month, and that led to really bad things happening around. Luckily, we were not using it. We have been, generally speaking, pretty conservative about
Hmm.
GitHub Action, trying to reduce, the usage of GitHub Action, because there are GitHub Action for everything. But
Hmm.
sometimes if this is something, small, trivial, it's probably it's safer, to do that on your own and own
Yeah.
it. So thanks a lot for, all this hard work.
Yes.
Um, Okay, last topic, I think on the agenda, then we can discuss other topics if you want to, is the incubation application. So Kubewarden is a CNCF project. Right now is a sandbox project. We want to graduate to move to the next level. The next level instead of CNCF is called incubation. So to do that, we have to fulfill some to satisfy certain requirements. And maybe Fabrizio, he's here. Do you want to say something, because you have been working more actively on the topic during the last weeks? If you're talking, we
Yeah,
cannot hear you,
hopefully
Fabrizio.
you
Now
can
it
hear me
works. Yes,
because
yes.
I'm on a backup laptop because yeah, I'm on my backup laptop because I don't have internet right now in my home. So yeah, the process is now we are doing some documents, and especially one which is the general technical review, which will close most of the tasks required for the incubation application. And after that, we will start contacting um, adopters of Kubewarden because this is what CNCF wants. Like they need to be interviewed from CNCF about the Kubewarden adoptions to give feedback about the project. So yeah, exciting times. And if you're an adopter and you're looking to this video or live, please contact us, and that will really help the project to move on the next step of the incubation for CNCF.
Yeah. Thanks, Fabrizio.
So
And
that's all.
for the ones, because there are some people that we know are using Kubewarden, but they don't want their company to be mentioned on the adopters MD file, which is something public instead of one of our repositories, because their company is against doing that kind of stuff. All right. So if you are into one of those situations, no worries. please reach out to us in a private chat on Slack, or drop us an email, whatever you want, because this interview from CNCF can be done in a private way, meaning that people from CNCF will reach out to you, but they will not make any public disclosure that you are using Kubewarden inside of your organization. And don't be scared about this interview. It's not like applying for a new job. It's a pretty, straightforward process. There are just a bunch of things. They just want to be sure that, you are actually using Kubewarden, and that you like Kubewarden, and that's it, just to prevent, some people from claiming that there are 100 companies using it, and then it's all, fake data. All right. So don't be scared. All right. That was today's agenda. Is there any other topic you want to address? Okay. So thanks a lot for joining. Thanks for watching the recording for the Google Summer of Code students. Yeah, we're eager to start working with you. Keep your fingers crossed, and yeah, we'll see you in a month. Bye bye. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.